Good afternoon and welcome to another broadcast from Igbo Global Network. Today is Sunday, May 5th. Another exciting broadcast for you today. Looking at the Ohaneze saga, and we've titled this IGN Confronts Ohaneze on Treachery. We're looking at the Ohaneze and the Igbo saga. Who are they representing? Who are they working for? Ohaneze needs to come forward with answers. A press statement is no longer sufficient. A press release is no longer sufficient. A friendly conversation with a journalist is no longer sufficient. Ohaneze needs to go through an interrogation because Igbo must know who is representing them and who is not. In what we have, it was supposed to be, quote unquote, a democracy. We know it is not. Nigeria is not a democracy. Nigeria is a slave plantation. It's a plantation. It was created for slaves. The 1914 amalgamation was an amalgamation of slaves. Nigerians are slaves. They are not free. So the confusion, we like to call it a democracy, but it is not. It's actually a slave plantation. In a normal democracy, representatives, your senators, your governors, your politicians have a duty to you. They are accountable to you. They are not working for themselves. They are working for you and I. They are public servants working for us. The same way Ohaneze, they are working for Ndi Igbo. Ohaneze is supposed to be working for the interest of Ndi Igbo, standing as a buffer between Ndi Igbo and the elected representatives or their appointed representatives, as we have become familiar under the dispensation of APC, Buhari, Tinubu, and co. People don't get elected anymore, they get selected. Like we have a selected president. Our politicians are selected by INEC. INEC selected politicians. But they are supposed to represent the interest of the indigents of that place, the constituent members. And so they have a duty and they have an accountability they ought to be held to. So what is the duty of the constituent members? The constituent members, we're also pulling you up today, you have a duty to interrogate the politicians. And tonight, Igbo Global Network interrogates Ohaneze Ndi Igbo to see who they are working for. Ohaneze Ndi Igbo, are they working for Ndi Igbo? Or are they working for Ndi Iro? Are they working for Ndi Igbo? Or are they working for Ndi Iro? Are they working for the enemies of Ndi Igbo? Ohaneze Ndi Igbo must answer critical questions tonight. We have previously invited Chief Emmanuel Iwanyanwu to a conversation and to defend his record. He hasn't taken us up on that invitation yet. So we'll continue to ask questions and we'll continue to call him out and call Ohaneze out because it is our duty as Wafi Igbo, Ndi Igbo. It is our duty and it is our culture in our Igbo to hold our representatives accountable. And so tonight, Igbo Global Network comes face to face with Ohaneze Ndi Igbo on the issue of their allegiance to Ndi Igbo. Who are they working for? Ohaneze, are they working for Ndi Igbo? Or are they working for Ndi Iro? Ohaneze needs to answer that question. They need to come forward and answer that question. And you, as an Igbo man, Igbo woman, you have a duty also to use your platform, to use your voice, to use your position to ask Ohaneze these questions. Because we know the politicians are not working for Ndi Igbo. They are working for their paymasters. They are working for their paymasters in Fulani land. We know that. Hope Uzodinjo is not working for Ndibo. We know that. But Ohaneze, we don't know who they're working for. So we're asking the question. And we hope that they will take us up on the opportunity to answer the question. Now, just in case you haven't heard the audio, I'm going to play the audio for you, which talks about Ohaneze's plan, their treacherous plan to go and kowtow and take the whole Igbo nation into a submissive position with our enemies. So here is the audio. I want to play a bit of it for you, and then we're going to go carry on with the broadcast.
Ọ bụ ka unu si bụrụ ndị na-amara ihe ọbụla na-eme na Naịjirịa, ihe ọbụla na-eme ndị Igbo, ihe ndị arụrụ ala niile ndị Fulani na-arụ. Ọ ndị na-ekwuchitere Fulani okwu bụ unu nwa niile bụ ndị na-eje mitin ha. Unu adịghị akpọ Igbo ọsọ ndị ga-agwa unu ihe a na-ekwu. Si ihe a niile ndị Fulani na-egbu ndị Igbo gbukata 1937, 1945, 1953. Look at the Yoruba in quelling with riots. Look at the TV. Look at the Middle Belt. I'm not really na Middle Belt the footstool na give the Quran to the sea. Na ga conquer Igbo ma Yoruba ma kiri. Oye ni na ande me look at that to put that coup. That coup d'etat. We a coup d'etat. January 17th, 1966, Ahmadu Bello na Buhari na Kintura the Nepal. So I am going one up in the West. Oh, I'm a coup d'etat. You can have the Jizye move and take Nigeria. Coup d'etat. Coup d'etat in Nigeria. She's in Nigeria. Dr. They will look one and show the England. Mandini, we change the army leadership. Ndị ga-akarị that coup d'etat bụ ihe mere nsogbu a ma demolegoro ma ndị ọzọ. Coup d'etat nke ha bụrụ supposed to be January 15th, all but to prevent Ahmadu Bello taking over Nigeria here in Balewa in a coup d'etat. And if that had happened, Nigeria would have disintegrated. It is that 15th January that saved the Yoruba, that saved the Igbo, that saved the Middle Belt, that saved the TV, that stopped the Winter campaign in Middle West, in West. Oh, Yama, and preserve Nigeria. Oh, today, they are no. They would not be below. Not that. Nobody wants killing. But they even want killing. They want that is killing is their business. No. Till today, in this Fulani in Hausa, believe on Ninja. There is only one Igbo. Where more company history maybe January 15, Fulani. Fulani Igbo since 1937, 45, 53. As a Yoruba since 1962. They will take campaign na Midwest, na Western region. West and TV, West and the Middle Belt. See, Ahmadu Bello, see how they did put the Quran into the sea. The sea. We put the Middle Belt, the footstool, and how conquer. So my Igbo market, and I get conquer. Unu abunja akpọrọ onwe ndị Igbo. Unu were charcoal, Janet and Igbo n'iru. Sinu na agaghị m abolition ndị Fulani area na unu gburu eze ndị Igbo. Ndị Igbo, sọ ndị Igbo mere kuu ahụ. Ọ bụ sọ ndị Igbo mere kuu ahụ, nọ ndị Igbo lead, nọ Chukwuma lead ya kuu ahụ. Ihe m ga-agwa gị na ndị Igbo ọzọ ahụ, iji ekwensu ahụ, iji arụrụ ala ahụ si, gaa n'iru were pọtọpọtọ kewe ndị Igbo n'iru. N'iwu anyanwụ ma iwu kpakpando ma iwu nkịta iwu ewu gaa n'elu ma onye mmadụ eke ma amanwụ eke ma ndị niile We got you with you and tell me what you know. Where Anna Jock, I guess. You were riding the Igbo Nigeria. But when you're not over, how do you get up? Look at me, look at me, look at me, everybody see. Anna, the ambassador, give it to me, Ohaneze, and I will give him George Opioso. You're done, Ohaneze. Senior President General. Bukata. Oh, Joe, I think when you're 82 Division Commander, Kenya Kosine Bundi, but Ndikia, Umuri Hozono. In town, I put you after my Tokoto Nina, the next thing, okay, Mebo. Eba choko the situation kara pretty and the reverse Igbo ka pretty no Igbo ni Igbo my weapon is fantastic. Oh no, na ka ni rune me only Fulani and the Boko Fulani ni le no Africa na na meeting in Nigeria Yoruba ni Boko Fulani Yoruba ni le no wa ma Kogi ma Kwara so na have Yoruba Gakpo na Delta ma eto. Oh, my name is Johnny. Yes, you know one. My no need every one. Said, sorry, Bobo. Boy, it's not kind. Danny, no great large one. But sorry, Bobo. Now it does have people. We don't have book. So now, you are a woman. Anyway, you would have River State. Makagini, Makoto, say, Gawa. Then you know the River State opportunity to have produce Ohaneze President General. Unoeba na bo kirikiri gwa na no sere no awo ogbo ni sere no ga ni ru were nyere tewe ndi Igbo di ru fu you go see your man na Nigeria that is ja alimbe tato na gwa ni ga ni ne ha wu na Nigeria what's Nigeria we no ba cover Nigeria na ko shi your bara. That Ahmadu Bello is a villain and should not be mentioned at the same time with Zika Nabolowo. That Ahmadu Bello is a villain. Abalewa is a villain. Papa Brandi Igbo. Papa Bara Yoruba. Papa Bara Midoben. Papa Bara TV. Papa Bara Hausa believe it or not, Egypt. Where did the Igbo Nero? When you need to win people, you woke up when you know what where show could get yes, Igbo should be united. Are you uniting Igbo? You unite Igbo. You are developing and destroying the Igbo. That is one truth you mentioned. Now they unite Igbo. Now they make Igbo. Is this Ohaneze? We may select the consensus to Ohaneze with no election. Nothing. Are you uniting the Igbo? Why others are uniting the people? And the global restructuring. Do you have a template for restructuring? Yes or that. That is what you are waiting for. With the things of these corrupt people called Ohaneze. Now, the next evil, EJ on the full and area. Kovanile no adjective. No bullet send the full and no criminal. No dog, hound. Not that anybody wanted to. Okay, but again, I remember Ahmadu Bello and Balewa. Was there a time Igbo decided to go and kill Ahmadu Bello and Balewa? Was it Igbo that sent Sogo and go to go and kill Ahmadu Bello and Balewa? The Igbo have reason to stage a coup d'etat. The town was it the Igbo coup? Even if it is half a man or 1/4 man, was unable, Colonel Ulebe killing that coup, not an Igbo man. So that they killed an Igbo man, even if he was a single Igbo man, he was a quarter Igbo man, does it not show that Igbo had no arrangement? to make an Igbo coup. Unu were chakolo. Chineke kere ndị Igbo agaghị nsọpụta ndị Igbo n'aka unu. Zọpụta ndị Igbo na Nigeria. Zọpụta ndị Igbo n'ụwa. We are for restructuring Nigeria. Ka Nigeria bụrụ ezigbo obodo. Onye ọbụla ga-develop them. Do you have a template for restructuring? You Igbo going round. Unu na-arịọ ndị Fulani ahịa. This Fulani killing people. Was it Amadu Bello? The killing of Amadu Bello. That caused the Fulani to be killing. Means the 82 division. Fulani 82 division. Ono Katosino, there were a war. In the ESN, the people go war, insurgency. Okay, whereas there is no war in Igbo land. No insurgency anyway. These dinosaurs, Ohaneze, and then dance to the script of India, the Fulani. A statement condemning those killings. Have you issued a statement? Oh, yeah, is it because of Amadu? The Fulani are killing Nigerians. Go to the Middle Belt. Many communities have been wiped out and renamed by the Fulani. In full view of all Nigerians, go to Yoruba land. How they kill Yoruba are rising up and saying they don't want Nigeria any longer, that they want to go the separate way. The Joe people are rising up and saying they don't want Nigeria any longer, that they were going to the separate way. The Hausa people have risen up and said they are expecting Fulani from Hausa land. There is no, they were Igbo land, where Yoruba land, where Tiv land, where Hausa land, that there is no Fulani land in Nigeria, that they are foreigners. These are issues in contention. Uno, Jinja Kolu, Jini Poto, Jini Mamere, Bottles, Mithie, Netendi Boniru, you look at Bankete. If you don't go, if you know, you get me. I think Igbo get you in Nigeria. Because Igbo man will come with the energy and wisdom of Igbo people to rebuild this country and make it good for everybody. They don't want it. But the Igbo get in Nigeria. We're not dependent on this stupidity and nonsense happening with people called Ohaneze. Which is why we are giving support to the rival Ohaneze. Genocide, millions of your people. Granted, killing Amadu Bello is not the decision of the Igbo people or Balewa, Makintola. Granted, nobody says anybody should be killed. But what about the millions of people killed about your own people? Have you made a pollution? Millions, men, women, children, disboard, buried alive. Buhari and Mary Aruto they are still killing today. Unknown government introducing new land. Many families are missing their children. All are crying in vain. There are people, no money that are being in jail. Lewa family wage in Abuja when you human. You will catch here. What do you know? One in a condemn. See, nobody had them the kind of Sarah prayer. Who know about this in dinosaurs? Super of Ohaneze. Who knows people who got joined for his unconditional release?
It goes on and on and on. Heart-wrenching. Heart-wrenching. Now, Ohaneze has gone on to issue a lame rebuttal, trying to do what we call damage limitation. And so I'll read a bit of it. It's a 6-point rebuttal from Ohaneze. But there's so much more going on, so much more that we have to know who Ohaneze is working for. Who are they working for? Are they working for Ndibo? The professor in anguish, in pain, in tears, talking about Nnamdi Kanu. Why have they not called for the immediate and unconditional release of Nnamdi Kanu? What have they done to protect Ndibo? It's not just this, their latest saga. It's so much more about Ohaneze that Ndibo must know, must interrogate, and must ask and demand answers to questions. But this is the rebuttal that they have issued in the media. It says the Office of the National Secretary of Ohaneze Ndibo worldwide has been inundated since the fabricated falsehood that the Ohaneze retreat on March 27, 2024 resolved to send emissaries to beg the Fulani over the January 1996 military coup. This is a typical falsehood and a figment of plaintive imagination. Fabricated in the dark, decorated with wings, injected with venom and hate, propelled to fly to various corners, fronts, and heights in order to create mistrust and taint on the leadership of Ohaneze Ndibo. Yeah, colorful language. But it takes more than colorful language, to tarnish, to repair your image. And they went on to say, number two, the Ohaneze retreat, which was chaired by no less a perfect gentleman than the former chief of naval staff of the Nigerian Armed Forces, the former governor of Old Anambra and Imo State, Admiral Alison Madueke, GCOM, was attended by the target audience comprising the chairman and members of all the Ohaneze committees, associations of town union presidents, women groups, captains of industry, amongst others. The speakers at the event included Professor Ikechukwu, Professor Obiorike, Professor Nenna Oti, Dr. Nnameka Obieriri, Chief Sam Obaji, and Dr. Mrs. Kate Ezofo. Many questions from the audience were addressed, and a communique was issued. And they haven't said about the communique here. And then the third point, it said Ohaneze decided to allow the dignitaries that attended the retreat to comment on the falsehood that Ohaneze intends to beg the Fulani, and we're delighted that over 10 persons that attended the retreat have clarified the air. So they're trying to do some damage limitation here, and they got some people to put a commentary on their retreat to try and clean up their image. But while we're still dealing with that, a letter from Mieti Allah was sent to us. This letter was dated August 26, 2020, addressed to the President General at the time, which was Chief Nyanwodo, as he was preparing to hand over. And the letter says nomination. This is nomination for the President General of Ohaneze. Mieti Allah, which is a Fulani organization, is given a nomination, a recommendation, backed up with a promise. They are nominating a candidate for President General of Ohaneze Ndibo. Mieti Allah. Let that sink in for Ndibo. This letter is dated August 26, 2020. They say the internet doesn't forget. I've seen this letter before. I saw it at the time and I was outraged. I marveled at that time, not knowing that we're going to come to this junction. I remember seeing this letter. But this letter was sent to me again today. It says, nomination of Ambassador George Obiozo as your successor. Mieti Allah addressing Chief Nyanwodo, nominating George Obiozo as successor to Nyanwodo. And guess who succeeded Nyanwodo? George Obiozo succeeded Nyanwodo. At whose death Imani Wanyan was now appointed by Hope of Danger to replace. But this is what the letter says. They say, we bring you warm greetings from the Fulani Nation, and we acknowledge your spirited efforts in stemming the tide of secession and division being championed by some misguided Igbo youth. They are congratulating Nyanwodo for stemming the tide of IPOB movement, IPOB awakening, renaissance of Ndi Igbo. So clearly, Nyanwodo too has questions to answer. He said, we are aware that your tenure as President General of Ohaneze Ndi Igbo will come to an end in the next 5 months. We have also taken cognizance of the fact that it is the turn of Imo State to produce your successor. In view of that, we are closely in touch with Governor Hope Uzodinma, whom we call Hope Uzodinjo. There is nothing dim about Hope, of this Hope guy. And he has accepted, they are in touch with Hope Uzodinjo, and he has accepted our choice candidate. Ndi Borunanu, Mieti Allah was in touch with Hope Uzodinjo, and he accepted Mieti Allah's choice candidate, which was George Obiozo. And he has accepted our choice candidate, Ambassador George Obiozo. With Ambassador Obiozo, we can be confident that our interests, they have interest, our interest in the protection of the over 100,000 herdsmen is assured. As a corollary to this, we have forwarded your name to the presidency for immediate appointment upon expiration of your tenure, the brand. As compensation to Nyanwodo, they have forwarded your name to the presidency for an appointment on the expiration of your tenure. And this is signed by Engineer Ansala Saleh Kuba, National Secretary, Mieti Allah, dated August 26, 2020. And guess who succeeded Nyanwodo? George Obiozo succeeded Nyanwodo before he died. This same Nyanwodo, when we were running Aladimma, I personally invited him to address Ndi Igbo in 2020. Nyanwodo, Aladimma sent him a letter of invitation. Aladimma printed flyers inviting Nyanwodo to address Ndi Igbo, and Nyanwodo demurred on the invitation. Is it a scheduling problem? We know we're flexible on schedule. If you can't do this, we can do it next week. Yes, it's not a scheduling problem. Please, is it a timing problem? Because the event was like 8 p.m., 7 p.m. to 9 p.m. Oh, we can bring in the afternoon or in the morning time. Yes, it's not that. This is Ndi Igbo. This is me. I spoke with George. I spoke with Nyanwodo myself. Apart from the letter we wrote to him, I spoke to him. I told him, I spoke with Nyanwodo. I said, Ndi Igbo, your sons, your daughters are inviting you to address them on matters concerning Ali Igbo. Bam, that you don't have the time to address Ndi Igbo. Mr. Nai, what is the issue? Yes, he's no longer in public office, that he no longer does public speeches. That's what Nyanwodo told me to my hearing. He no longer does public speeches because he's no longer the president of Ohaneze. Because by then, the George Obiozo had taken over. That is the excuse Nyanwodo gave me. And the excuse a 5-year-old will call hogwash. Complete bunkum. At that time, we were not privy to this letter. Look at what the letter says. They wrote to Nyanwodo, who was President General of Ohaneze at the time, dated August 26, 2020, telling Nyanwodo that we are aware that your term is about to finish and that they are nominating George Obiozo, and that Hope Uzodinjo has agreed to their candidates, and that as compensation, Nyanwodo his name has been forwarded to the presidency for appointment. That's the bribe to Nyawood. So you see that, how do they put it in Nigeria? They say, yeah, they smell. Yeah, it smell. And as people say, there is no smoke without fire. This one that came out today, in the last few days, about Ohaneze going to kowtow to Ndi Fulani, the matter did not start today. So this nonsense reporter they wrote, it's absolute trash. This matter has been going on for God knows how long. This letter we saw from Mieti Allah to Nyawood. So Nyawood has questions to answer. Ndi Igbo, anybody from Nyawood, call him and ask him questions. Who was he serving when he was Ohaneze chairman, president general? Was he serving Ndi Igbo or was he serving the Fulani? Who was he working for, Ndi Igbo or the Fulani? Ndi Igbo must ask Nyawood this question. Hope Uzodinjong will know who he is working for. Everyone knows who he's working for. Ohaneze Ndi Igbo has questions to answer. Before I go further, I want to bring my panel in to debate this matter. First is Vice Anekwe, who's our legal director, and then I'm going to go to Mazin Baku, who's a veteran, and then Mazi Ozemina, who's a scholar in, who's a legal scholar in South Africa. Vice Anekwe, over to you. I don't even know what to ask you. I am so perplexed. I don't know what question to ask you. What do you make of this drama?
About Ohaneze again. Permit me to. Can you hear me?
Yes, sir.
Okay, I'll just say, is it about Ohaneze again? Because now we have to be saying Ohaneze again or politicians again. It's now just like
Please
1 week, one trouble.
Bring your seat lower. You're out of the camera.
Okay.
Bring your
1 week, one. Is it fine
better,
now?
better. That's
okay. 1 week, one
fine.
trouble.
1 week, one trouble
for Ohaneze.
Yes.
But let me just say that I'm not surprised that a lot of these things is coming out from Ohaneze or politicians, because I just see Ohaneze in the light of King Leopold's African International Association. Can you imagine King Leopold of Belgium that is destroying Africa, a slave master, unleashing savagery, cruelty, and dehumanization, and turn around to form an organization and nickname the organization African International Association, headed by King Leopold, as the person championing the interests of Africans. So that's how I see Ohaneze. Ohaneze can be just a term appellation, Ohaneze, to sound Igbo. But whether their content is Igbo is the same question. It's just like King Leopoldo. When Leopoldo is saying, I am African Association, King Leopoldo is cutting the hands of millions of people in Congo, extracting resources there, and say that he's now the champion of Africa. So how do they elect Ohaneze? The so-called governors will just converge and say that they are going to elect Ohaneze. How do the so-called governors emerge? One emir, some different types of emirs, we just anoint somebody, and they will use the institutions of their imposed state to impose the person, and the same people will congregate and say this person is Ohaneze. Check what Ohaneze has been doing. Ohaneze, I said Ohaneze again because for the past month, Ohaneze was trying to deflect the attention of the Igbos from core critical issues that are affecting them, like calling for the release of Nnamdi Kanu. like challenging this thing, the debasement of Igbos in their own land by the Fulanis. That is, they wanted to deflect attention. You know what they did? They say they are going to take the government to court because of the number of states in Igbo land. I will still come there.
Yeah.
But Ohaneze can never stand up and say, why is it that the law of general application that regulates the acquisition of lands all over the world, all over Nigeria, is not applicable to the Fulanis? Ohaneze is supposed to be the custodian of our tradition and our culture. The land is part of our traditional inheritance. And the Fulanis can just walk into our lands, kill our women, kill our gay children, rape them, mutilate their anatomy, and kill our elders inside their farms, and take possession of the farms, and start enjoying the ownership of the farms. Ohaneze and the Iwanya can never mention that, just like the governors. So who should be surprised about this audio? Because the process of the leadership recruitment process that used to bring people, that used to bring the leadership of Ohaneze, is just a charade. Just like the elections in Nigeria is a charade. So why are we surprised that they did this thing? I'm not saying that, I'm not making a conclusive argument that they are guilty, but there's a reputable presumption that Ohaneze can do this type of thing. Ohaneze knows fully well that Nigeria courts cannot deal with anything concerning state creation and all those things, but they want to pretend, they want to continue deceiving the Igbos and be entrenching the false consciousness that they on the Igbos that they are trying to address their problem, that they are Ohaneze, but they know where the source of the problem is. Ohaneze knew that the states that were created in Nigeria was imposed. Some people were given states because a concubine came from that side. Some people were given states and local government because a very erotic prostitute came from that side. That was the basis of creating states in Nigeria and local government. And the purpose, they did not use any objective yardstick to create states. How can the same institutions that was imposed be used to remedy to remedy what they created? But Ohaneze was deceiving the Igbos. He was telling them, we are going to prepare to go to court to go and challenge the number of states in Igbo land or Southeast. But if you look at it critically, what Ohaneze was trying to do is that every agitation that Igbos are doing all over the world, if Ohaneze go and institute that case inside the court, it's going to show that Igbos have confidence in the domestic institutions of Nigeria to deal with their problem. So tactically, Ohaneze was using that position to be validating the oppressive structures of the Nigeria state, the oppressive structures of the slave plantation, by saying that they are going to go to court. But when they go to court, if you go to any international institution to go and express your grievances, they will say that your people have confidence in the domestic institutions of the same country to deal with your problem. Exactly. That's why now they have shifted again now to say they're going to go and beg the Fulani. Who is going to beg the Fulani? Beg the Fulanis for what? Did we have any consensus of what the South Africans call in Daba that we are going to do Q? Nzogu was serving in Nigerian military. And the Fulanis are, even after the coup, the women inside the market that they disemboweled and took out the fetuses and crushed it, did the women participate in coup making? As the professor rightly said. So how many times have Ohaneze tried to organize even a memorial services for the women that were disemboweled and their fetuses crushed? How many times did Ohaneze try to conduct memorial services like the Jewish people that are conducting memorial services for the Holocaust? for those who were buried alive, for the instigation of the Kaduna of the Northern Nigeria radio station that propelled the hate speech that led to the program. Ohaneze will be going around Ohaneze, answering Ohaneze, answering Ohaneze every time, running away from critical the core issues that are facing in the Igbo, just like the politicians, because they are not connected to the legitimate aspiration of the Igbo man. They are not connected to the legitimate aspiration of the Igbo woman or Igbo children. The whole of Igbo land, the Fulanis are trying to render the whole of Igbo land desolate. Ohaneze can never address that. Who gave the Fulanis land? Did they buy land? How many times have you seen an Igbo man that traveled to Benue State, Kano State, Oyo State, River State, any place to appropriate a land by force and start using it? But only Fulani people are doing it and nobody's talking anything. Ohaneze is not saying anything. Nyamodo was there, he did not say anything. Iwang is there now, he did not say anything. Professor Jodo Biozo was there. He didn't even try to say anything. They are using, Ohaneze should stop using the Igbos, the blood of the Igbos, as mere means to achieve their own end. The politicians should stop using the blood of the Igbos as mere means to achieve their own end. So that is what we are saying, that it cannot be done. Nobody should apologize to the Fulanis. Igbos did not do anything wrong to the Fulanis. The Fulanis owe us apology. They owe us apology. They owe the whole of Africa apology for serving as the violent proxies of the white supremacist slave masters that configured the Nigeria slave plantation. It is there in the book of Ambassador John Campbell that the Fulanis were slave catchers that worked together with the white supremacist slave masters. And up to today, that type of relationship is still going on. Is there a rethinking diplomacy by Ambassador John Campbell that served in Nigeria and served in South Africa? This is what Ohaneze is supposed to be doing. They should stop putting Igbos in unnecessary, putting a heavy burden on the life of Igbo man and woman. Instead, they should try to rethink and turn back to become part of the solution. Let me yield for now.
Thank you so very much. Thank you so very much. Mazenbak, I can imagine, as a veteran, I can imagine the anger, the fume coming out of your nostrils on all of this mess that these people are doing.
Absolutely correct. You are absolutely correct. I feel ashamed. I mean, this is heart-wrenching. How could Ohaneze, men of intellectual diversity, how can they act like this? And they are aware of where the Igbo man, let me narrow it down, has been, and where we have come from, how we are today, and what is still going on in us today, within us. The amount of subjugation that we're receiving from the powers that be under the control of the Fulanis and their white masters. How long can we keep preaching to Ohaneze? By the way, this Ohaneze, I think we tend to misinterpret that name, Ohaneze. I can say now because they are dangerous. And nothing should stop us from passing a vote of no confidence in them. We should go ahead and do that and scrap that system. Scrap it completely. They are worthless, they are useless. And they are making our case more difficult for us. How should we continue seeing that grace may abound? I mean, we are human beings. Is it because we have been very, maybe docile or patient? And then most of us are so religiously entrenched, consumed, that we are waiting for paradise. Paradise starts here on earth. If you cannot experience paradise, how will you be able to recognize paradise when you get there? You won't know what it means. We have to test it here and say, yeah, is that what paradise feels like? And we're being promised paradise when we die. Then we are full of expectation, high expectation. But when you have not practiced it, when you are still suffering and you are being told, when you get there, you'll be received, and you know, be in paradise. This is what Ohaneze is doing to us. And we should not waste time in, bringing them to their senses. Pass a vote of no confidence in them. Many of them, this Ohaneze, they lived through the program. They lived through the war, the genocidal war. Many of them. I was a high school graduate when the program happened. I knew what I went through to get home from the north. And I knew what it meant for me to continue my education to, take my West African school certificate, 1966. Yes. And then I went into the war. I experienced the pain of the war. I saw children literally dying of starvation. Kwashiorkor. I lost so many friends in that war. And we're still going through that today. We're still in that plantation. And they themselves seeing themselves also in the plantation, except they are just the better slaves. I think Iwanyan, because he's the one that is on the driving seat now. After Nayan Wodo and then Obioso and the rest are hopeless idiots. That's what I call them, whether they like to accept it or not, because they have accomplished nothing. And we are still in the same pit of hell that have brought us into. Our brothers, look at the Yoruba group. They all have, what is their platform? What is their template? Ohaneze. What do they stand for? They are supposed to be the buffer between the people, the Igbo community, and the powers that be. The government under the tutelage of the Fulanis. But they're not doing what they're supposed to do. No, enough is enough. We cannot continue this way. So I urge my people to wake up. We can't just continue to preach to you every week, every Sunday. It's about time you get the message. You don't need any more message, our people. I'm telling you, you don't need any more message than to act on the one you have received. And also, my urge goes more to those of us in diaspora. I can understand our people at home. They are under hellfire. They are subjected by hunger, threat of their lives. But those of us in diaspora, I'm not saying that everything is hunky-dory for us here. It's not. We still go through pains. Of course, that same racism still dwell here, even in the United States of America where I live. But at least we can breathe without much fear of the person behind us with a 2x4 ready to strike us. So we need to lead the way. We need to come together. We need to continue to agitate our people. We have to agitate them, to wake them up, to put that anger in them, because it's out of anger comes freedom. Yes. If you want peace, if you want a peaceful environment, you have to be prepared for war. I didn't say that. That was the old saying of the Romans. Situ pacem, bella parati. If you want peace, prepare for war. We've got to fight the battle. This is not a matter of negotiation, peaceful. No. Not going to Abuja to kiss the Fulani man's ass. That's what Ohaneze have been doing. because our people kept quiet, so they feel they can do it whatever and get away with it. About time we begin to hold them accountable. And it's not enough for them to come on the air. They say, oh, deny that they didn't go to beg the Fulanis. Because there's no fire without smoke, or vice versa. There's no smoke without fire underneath. So something must have triggered us to have that. Why shouldn't we have that suspicion in them? How have they acted in the past? As to be able to say, yes, this is what they are capable of doing in the present, or this is what they're going to do in the future. So we still hold them responsible for that statement. They have to prove to us otherwise by the way they act, not by what come out from that, filthy mouth, because they speak from both sides of their lip. So it's not enough for them. We should not accept that declaration or whatever defense. They have to demonstrate it. They have to move straight to get Nnamdi Kanu out of the dungeon. Then we know that yes, maybe they are now back to their normal self as our fellow brothers, our leaders. Without doing that and just coming to the air to say, oh, we didn't send anybody to Abuja to the Fulanis to beg them for forgiveness. Why should we beg them for forgiveness? Yeah, what they did to us, they've been doing to us. So they are the one that should come and prostrate and then beg us for forgiveness for destroying our people, for what they did in the north, in the Benue, what they did to the Hausas, for what they did in the Kwara State, Afonja. They owe the whole entire Nigerian apology, Nigerian community. The Yoruba land, the Igbo land, there's no Hausa land. They are guests. How can we stay and then, in the water and then soap is killing us? We had accommodated them and now they become a pain to us. Why should I go into it? And they are bold. They're saying that Ahmadu Bello is saying it and they're implementing what he said. And then we're just like Mumu, looking at them. No. Thank you.
Thank you, Mazin Bake. Master Zamina, what do you make of this lame rebuttal by Ohaneze in the light of the overwhelming evidence, questioning their allegiance to Igbo? What do you make of it?
Thank you so much, Mr. Convener, and all the panelists. What I have to say tonight is that Ohaneze have been in pocket of the Fulanese, not because of the issues have been unraveled over the years, or I say centuries ago or decades ago, even since after the war. We have to ask ourselves questions. What led to the loss of the war is a situation like this. Betrayers everywhere. Ojukwu was betrayed. We all knew that. When Wazuliki came out, he was betrayed as well. Nnamdi Kanu was betrayed. Ohaneze had been in the pocket of the Nigerian government, especially the Fulanese. Everything in Igbo land is all about politics, individual selfishness, self-aggrandizement. We have to admit the fact that Nyangodo, there was a time when Nnamdi Kanu made a broadcast in regards to that. When Nyangodo was the president of Ohaneze and Igbo, he was kneeling down before a particular minister, begging for a ministerial position. The same Nnamdi Kanu talk about Professor Biozo. All this thing that is coming out now is not new. In 2008, 2009, Chief Ralph Wechie from Delta State of Gwashi, precisely, was the former president of Ohaneze and Igbo. So for someone saying that someone in River State cannot be the president of Ohaneze and Igbo using the constitution or whatsoever to deny a particular right to a particular people, then why are you clamoring for the unit of Igbo? All I have to say tonight is that Fulanese have conscripted the leaders of Ohaneze and Igbo. This is not the first time. We have to look at the way Obiozo came into the picture. Obiozo is already aged, not physically fit. From nowhere, he became the president of Ohaneze and Igbo. And the offer has been made. And if you look at what was written in that particular document, that letter, it's mentioned that the name of Modo has already been forwarded to the president for consideration for a particular ministerial appointment. And before that, Nnamdi Kanu made that broadcast that Modo was nearing down, and the picture and the video came out at that point in time. What you have to understand is that the extraordinary rendition of Nnamdi Kanu was a game plan between the Ohaneze and Igbo and the Fulani leaders. The same thing with what is happening in our land today.
Oh, Jesus.
They gave them a plan. It was an offer. If you give me this, you will take that. They have politicized the whole system in our land. Look at what is happening in Isuzo. We are not even talking about Ozowani. The same former governor of Enugu State, Ifeanyi Ugwuanyi, and the Chijioke Edoga, they were the same first cousin. And the Chijioke Edoga married the nephew or the niece of Nyangodo. They killed so many people in Ozowani at that time in Nimbo precisely, and he didn't do anything. They killed in Ozowani. They didn't do anything. All he could do at that time was to invite Emir of Kano for a dinner in Enugu State. Sorry, Emir of Sokoto, Sadiq Abubakar. Sadly, what is happening in our land is a conspiracy against our people. And Ohaneze and Igbo cannot deny that. The killings of our people, especially our youth, taking over our farmland and the forest, was an offer given to Ohaneze and Igbo for political appointment and positions. We all see how the Afenifele always in position to defend their own brothers. And now they can never move around any day with ammunition, threaten any tribes in the east. But we saw Igbo openly moving with bunch of chants and talks from state to state in Yoruba land, beating up Fulanis, chasing them away from their forest. And then nothing happened. Even giving away to leave the country. What they did in Benin Republic was a game plan. But now they can haven't even for once, even when they killed a lot of IPOB at Tempo, shot hundreds of them. And Obiano didn't say anything about that when he was the governor of Anambra State. The same thing in Abia State. Igbazo didn't say anything in regards to that. So all of them, they are all in the same picture. And the governors in the east control Ohaneze and Igbo. Is Ugwuanyi that nominated Modo to become the president of Ohaneze and Igbo. The same way Hope Uzodimma nominated Obiozo. It's true that Modo might refer Obiozo to Ohaneze and Igbo, but he will not achieve that without the direct acceptance from the state governor. That is why we said here that Ohaneze Igbo and the Southeast governors, they are in the same picture. They are not there for the good of our people. They represent their pockets. They are all in the pockets, in the purse of the Fulanis. I am no longer calling them Ohaneze Igbo. This Ohaneze, Ohana Emir in the Fulani.
Mm-hmm.
That name is a problem to our people. If Ohaneze should know the power they have, the power in their disposal to defend the Igbo race. When we talk about the Igbo race, we are not a province. We are talking about a nation. We are talking about a country that have existed. We are talking about a country that are capable of defending themselves for years. Even the Niger Delta leaders are even more capable than Ohaneze. If the Niger Delta leader said, Edward Clark, stand up today and say anything, the next day the president will call him. They will listen to him immediately. But Ohaneze, their voice are not heard because they have already sold themselves. If you sold yourself, if you sell yourself to a potential enemy, you can't be trusted by whosoever. Because I have already found out that Ohaneze have already sold their people. Look at when Nnamdi Kanu came out. They started attacking Nnamdi Kanu from here and there. And the way you look at those people attacking Nnamdi Kanu, they were the same Ohaneze and Igbo politicians. The day IPOB was proscribed and then Nnamdi Kanu home subsequently invaded, just a few days, Nnamdi Kanu had a meeting with Southeast governors. Not from outside, a few days with Southeast governors and Ohaneze Igbo. What is he demanding? Open a seaport, construct our roads, and do what is necessary for equity and justice, and for the well-being of our people. He was tagged a terrorist. And a lot of our youth were killed in that regard. So Ohaneze or Hanandiemie Ndi Fulani is not there for our people.
It is terrible. It is terrible.
So this damage control they are doing now have nothing to do with the damage they have created already. What are they going to apologize for? The barrister have already illustrated. If you look at the event of 1966, it's not something that you blame on anyone. You can't blame it on Igbos. It was the situation at the time that gave birth to what happened. Just like the killing of Aguiyi. Did we retaliate? Nzogo was born and brought up in Kaduna State. He was more of Hausa than Igbo. He lived all his life there. No matter whatever thing that happened in the army, it was a national issue. You can't configure it and blame it on a particular tribe in Nigeria. The military were there to defend their interests. The military were there fighting for their own selfish interest. Okay, when the military took over, do they favor the Igbos? They killed Aguiyi as a result of what happened in 1966. And the Igbo did not retaliate. Did we blame it on anyone? Or is Aguiyi not a human being? Is Aguiyi not an Igbo? But the problem is that our own leaders have already been pocketed. That we are using against us. I would advise tonight that we should disband Ohaneze Igbo because they are not fit to represent our people. If you paid allegiance to an Igbo, you have to defend it because none of them have paid allegiance to Igbo land. enwere onye ha nwụrụ iyi. Ọ bụ na ndị a nwụrụ iyi before enye ha ọchịchị ahụ, ha yara ị na-atụ ụjọ ị na-eme some certain things.
Yep.
Enwere onye ha nwụrụ iyi there because onye alụrụ ana na-ebu onye iwe ọkụ, onye iwe ọkụ na-ebu onye ala n'ụzọ anwụ, because ọ bụ na fa nwụrụ iyi before taking over that position, ha yara ị na-enwe ụjọ before ha na-eme some certain things. So when you look at what is going on there, it's just a group of people using the whole Igbos to solve their own problem,
Jesus.
to achieve their political interest, to achieve their aim, using the blood of our youth, men and women. You can't just go to a particular land, you occupy their forest without anyone uttering any words in this modern day. And the Buhari was at the time talking about Luga. And the Igbos was even at a point accepting it. And the Charles Soludo now is about creating a cow, what do they call it at that time? Cow Luga or whatever, to give them a particular land. Even the governor of Enugu State is about doing that now. And they've forgotten easily what is happening in Isuzu. Even as we are speaking now, most of the issues of indigenes, they are living in ID camp in Enugu State. How can a stranger chase our people to ID camp in their own land? And the kidnappers, the invaders, came to Ebe, the local government. And the local security there, the vigilante group, were chasing after them, but the army came, leave the kidnappers, and started killing our people. This thing happened late last year. And the governor of Enugu State couldn't even do anything. Look at what happened in Nimbo after slaughtering the people there. He gave their children scholarship. So now, when you want your children to go to school, you prepare to die. The only means to gain scholarship from the government in the East is when you are being slaughtered by the enemy. And the next day, he summoned security summit. The so-called DSS came, giving him a vote of confidence that he's good on security. Okay, you are good on security. Means that these people that died, they didn't die again. These are a group of unfit individuals. Maludin has
we have to leave it there. Our time is spent. Indeed, we are in a terrible state. We're in a terrible state as a people, and you are the last line of support. The last man on the line now is every Igbo man or woman to take responsibility for the safety of our Igbo. Because these Ohaneze people are enemies. They are wolves in sheep clothing. The politicians, they are wolves in sheep clothing. We have no representatives. So, Iwonyi Igbo, in Onulo, diaspora, it is time for you to rise up. It is time for you to rise up. Take your weapons, take your gun, stand your ground, protect your home, protect your family. It is called self-defense. Protect your community. And it's time for retribution against Ohaneze and against these evil politicians. Retribution. Until we have retribution, they will not behave themselves.
Yep.
Wherever you are, because we have a bunch of vagabonds, idiots, representing us. Look at the letter here they wrote, addressing Nyanwodo. We are aware that your tenure as President General of Ohaneze Ndibu will come to an end in the next 5 months. We have also taken cognizance of the fact that it is the turn of Imo State to produce the next governor, the successor. In view of that, we are closely in touch with Governor Hope Uzodinjo, and he has accepted He has accepted our choice candidate, Ambassador George Obiozor, and George Obiozor became the President General of Ohaneze. With Obiozor, we can be confident that our interest, which is to protect 100,000 in our midst, will be assured. As a corollary, we have forwarded your name, Nyanwodo, we have forwarded the name of Nyanwodo to the presidency for appointment. That's why Nnamdi Kanu was talking about Nyanwodo kneeling in front of a Fulani minister or whoever the minister is for appointment. This is the genesis of it. And of course, Afid came out a few weeks ago to say that Hope Uzodinjo is one that prevented Nnamdi Kanu from coming out. This is a corollary. Hope, my Inwanyanwu, my George Obiozor, they are in cahoots against the Igbo Nation. They are in complete cahoots against the Igbo Nation. And that is why Ohaneze, instead of coming out publicly to demand the unconditional release of Nnamdi Kanu, instead of rallying the Igbo Nation that everybody should speak at the top of their lungs for the release of Mazi Nnamdi, instead of telling our legislators in National Assembly to walk out of National Assembly, Iwanyanwu said, we're going to Abuja to observe the court hearing. What a buffoon.
Idiot.
This is what the Bible calls wells without water. What an apologist of human beings, borrowing Ndi Igbo, representing Ndi Igbo, Ohaneze, Hope Uzodinjo, Nyanwodo. I spoke with Nyanwodo. I invited Nyanwodo to speak Ndi Igbo. Yeah, Joe. Ndi Igbo. Ndonu. Ndo. We're in a sorry state, but we're in a good state because now we know. You cannot say you don't know. We have told you in this broadcast. We have read the letter to you. You have heard the audio. Now you know. So every Igbo man, carry your weapons and defend your home, defend your family, defend your community, self-defense. Forget the governors, forget the politicians, forget Ohaneze. Every man for himself. Every man defend your home, defend your village, defend your community. Get a retribution. Because I don't see any other way out. Self-defense. Closing remark, Barrister, and then I'll go to Mazen Bakwe, 1 minute, and then we'll have to bring this broadcast to an end. Closing remark, Barrister. Thank you.
Yeah. You just hit it there. That Ndi Igbo, we have seen what's happened and what's continued to happen across all Igbo land. Our people, before, some few years ago, some people will say Igbos can never stay in IDP camp. But what you have to ask now is, if the reverse is the case, if the reverse is the case that Igbos went to Sokoto and took over land there and pushed some Fulani people to the IDP camp, what will happen? Will anybody give Igbos a listening ear to understand their grievances? But look at what is happening in Nimbo. I'm very, very emotional because I'm attached to Nimbo. I used to visit Nimbo when I was young. You know, those farm settlements. That was where our people used to recover a bit from the economic genocide that followed the military genocide. So this is the question. Don't fold your hand. Let every community from block to block and neighborhood to neighborhood do something to defend themselves. Exercise their right to self-defense. It is there in preamble number 2 of Universal Declaration of Human Rights. If the state actor fail to protect the rights of the citizen, they by themselves, by the failure of their obligation, have created the environment that will trigger the self-defense of the victims. Igbos are now in the same similar situation like the Albanian Cossacks. Stop waiting for anybody to come and defend you from the lunatic Fulanis who are raping our women, killing our children, maiming our elders, mutilating the anatomy of our women with reckless abandon. Listen, let every community come together, take steps to defend yourself from block to block and neighborhood to neighborhood. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Barrister. Mazimbak, your closing remarks.
Yes. Finally, let me advise our people. Stop being consumed by what the white man's religion is telling you. It does not work. It has never worked. You can preach Matthew, Jeremiah chapter Nicodemus, verse Olundiozi. You are not going to get your salvation. You are not going to be saved. You have to work. You cannot rely on prayer. You cannot rely on. I'm not saying that we should not serve our God that created us, but it appears we are serving the white man's God that he has presented to us. And I'm saying no. We should be wise enough now. We have seen enough as to be able to know that we have long been deceived. We have to wake up. We have to do the needful. We have to begin to pass votes of no confidence in our leaders, particularly Ohaneze, that is supposed to form the buffer between us and the powers that be. So when the salt has lost its taste, of what use is it to us? If Ohaneze have lost their, their position, their capability, their usefulness, isn't it about time we pass a vote of no confidence on them? Whether be it Emmanuel Iwanyang, or even the past Ohaneze presidents, like Nwodo and late George Obiozo. Let us wake up. Ndị Igbo, agwọ nọ n'akịrịka. Agwọ nọ n'akịrịka. Look at what they are doing to our people in Lagos, in Abuja, destroying their property. And then we are here crying, "Whoa, it's me! Oh, horrible, it's me." No, you cannot going to do that. If you are laid down on a wrong side of the bed, get up and realign yourself, reposition yourself. That's what I'm calling for today. Number one.
No, Manager Zomana, your closing remarks. Thank you.
Thank you. I'm calling on the Igbo youth, men and women and the elderly, to remember that we have no any other place. We have no any other home. We have no any other nation except Igbo land. If our homeland collapse or occupied by invaders, the way Kwara State was occupied, Kwara State can no longer even allow to practice their traditional religion. Last year, they were arrested for performing some traditional rite. The Gambali, the emir of Kwara State, arrested most of the Yorubas for practicing their traditional religion. So the Igbo should understand that we have no any other place except our home. Our fathers have defended it during the war. This is another era of fighting against our own people. We are in bed with our enemy. Take over whatever thing that you have. Do not listen to your governor. They are in bed with our enemy. The same thing with Ohanande Fulani. Do not listen to them. Do all you can to protect your homeland. If you fail to do so, you have your generation and the born generation to blame because they will not have any place to come home. They will become a stranger in their own land. Thank you.
This has been Igbo Global Network coming to you from Washington, D.C. You can reach us on igboglobalnetwork.com, on Facebook, Igbo Global Network, on YouTube, Igbo Global Network, on Twitter, Igbo Global Net, so X, Twitter, X formerly Twitter, Igbo Global Net. Our WhatsApp number is +1 202 787 8909. This has been Igbo Global Network, confronting Ohaneze and Igbo for their treachery. Until we come your way again the same time next week, my name is Tony Mwesi. It's a pleasure being with you tonight. Thank you and good night.